everybody. Welcome to another edition of Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by BetsTV at Bets Media on Twitter. Follow us there for more updates for not just the show, but some other things that we have in store. I am Preston Johnson, your host, alongside DeQwan Young, co-host / producer / figuring everything out. Good work. Couple minutes. We're going to be good to go. It's a strange day for me as a Lakers fan here in sunny Southern California. LeBron James out of the playoffs in the first round for the first time in a long time, and it wasn't even that close. I think they cut it to 10 a couple of times, but never really hit a shot. And I'm sad, but I think the Suns deserve a ton of credit. Chris Paul was injured early in the season. Lakers took advantage, I should say, earlier in the series. And here we are, Lakers taken out with the Anthony Davis news from the last few games, not being able to play. We're going to talk about this series against Denver in the future, but that is the sorrow feeling here in Southern California. We also have an extremely cool guest that'll be in studio. He's not going to be sitting down yet, a couple more minutes, but I saw him in the background earlier. I tweeted about it, but there was a Pikachu sighting at BetsTV Studios. Everybody, feel free to call in. This is a show, 661-515-BETS. We're going to talk NBA, MLB today, NHL, and the question for people that are hockey fans out there. I'm not sure, Qwan, if you follow the pucks. I don't, but we need Vegas talk. I don't follow hockey enough, but I will say this. I got a story to tell. For someone that's in Southern California, I love going to the 7 p.m. sunset Palm Tree Dodger games. The best atmosphere I've ever been to for a sporting event was Game 1 when I was living in Vegas, Stanley Cup, and they had just expanded the team. They adopt the Knights, and here we are. They're in the Stanley Cup. It gave me goosebumps, and I didn't even care about who won. Didn't even really have an attachment to Vegas. But now they're back in the playoffs. And here they are down 0-2, but they're at home. I know that feeling that I had in the Stanley Cup, can they bring it to this series, this Game 3 tonight? They're a small dog. I think there's a good chance. And I don't bet hockey, but the inside, when you're not supposed to bet with your heart, and I'm one of the first people to tell you, never bet with your heart. I want to bet with my heart, man. I want to bet with Vegas. They're down 0-2 in a series. I think they're going to take Game 3. But if you know hockey, call later. Let's talk through the game, because a few people I did ask earlier this morning say Colorado's just too good. And they're, pretty reasonable, level-headed people, and so I'm disappointed. But Qwan, do you have anything you want to say? I know yesterday was a little rough for you. Your Qwan fades came to fruition as I expected when I wrote the segment a couple weeks ago, and I was like, hey, just have people bet against you, and we'll all profit.
I do have some issues. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about the Laker game because I know Scott's lurking in the chat somewhere. But I love playoff hockey, man. The one thing that I can honestly say that's positive, you say everything is going to be from Detroit. I used to get to watch Red Wings hockey, so it was like
okay.
when Larionov, Yzerman, those guys are there. But man, I think when Datsuk left, I just completely abandoned it. I can tune in and enjoy Vegas's run. Was it 2 years ago or last year? I can enjoy it just because of the intensity, the crowd, and everything. But I don't really follow as intently as I should. But I can watch some playoff hockey. It's really it's up there. I don't think it's up there with the NFL playoffs or anything like that. But man, you can get some good games. And road dogs is what the theme of my day is today. So stay tuned for Qwan fans. We're talking about some road dogs.
Oh no, I kind of know what these are about, and it's not Clippers Dallas, because Clippers are a small favorite on the road, so it's not going to be that. It's going to be some other NBA games that Qwan, he's trying to get a little cute and contrarian. He has one day where his first quarter Lakers bets get absolutely obliterated, and now he thinks he has to change his ways. It's going to be fun, though. I do want to do a little bit on some MLB. I thought there was one play that stuck out to me that we can hit on now. By the way, Scherzer versus Wheeler. I'm surprised to see that total at 7. Obviously, Scherzer's been one of the best arms in baseball we've had for a while. Zach Wheeler has been absolutely phenomenal last season and this season with the Phillies. I know his ERA is down to 2.52, I believe it is this season. His actual xFIP is 2.48. He's expected to pitch that well. He's 95th percentile in his fastball velocity, hard hit percentage. Everything's way high. So you have these two arms against two bottom half of the league teams in hitting and weighted runs created plus, just batting average, weighted on base, whatever you want to look at. These are teams in most metrics hitting our bottom half, and the total 7. I don't like it. I think it should be 6.5 flat. You can get 7s that are minus 110 still in the market. that's a baseball play that stuck out. We'll talk more about that when we get your calls later in the show. But Wheeler, Scherzer, 2 of the elite arms this season in baseball. I think Zach Wheeler's probably a top 10 guy at this point. And you're getting a total at 7 in a year where we talked about it with Jason on Wednesday when he was in visiting. The ball that, was juiced the last few years maybe isn't juiced as much. They did make an adjustment this season. So we'll talk a little bit of baseball as well. But I think it's time we bring over our guest. Don't do anything crazy yet, but we'll bring him over. It's a little bit interesting. We got to make sure he can land in this chair without falling over. But Pikachu, make your way. Make your way. There's a chair right here. This is for safety precautions. We have terms and conditions for this. I have to make sure he can sit down without falling over, hitting his head on a monitor, on the mic. There you go. Welcome to the show.
All right, y'all.
Dude.
Thanks for having me here. Nice to be here in the studio with the Big Cheetah. We also got Qwan here. Nice to show up here in my birthday suit.
It's not even just a birthday suit. This is who you are. So for people that aren't familiar, I don't even know what your Twitter handle is anymore because you're such a high-level troller. Maybe that's not the right term. Are you a high-level troller? You're probably an awful troller. You just did it so frequently and finally upset somebody enough that you lost your main accounts. But I want to tell you this. He's been around for a few years. I met you once before when I was on the East Coast doing something with ESPN. But you have an interesting background and story, so I'm just kind of give us a couple minutes on where you started in the betting industry, what you're doing now, and what your kind of focus in is when it comes to ROI, profitability. What is it that you're trying to be? Which markets stick out to you at this point?
So I started all this. I think I talked about this some other points in time. I was never a real sports fan, Preston, right? So it's funny hearing y'all talk about, you and Qwan being LA raised and everything, saying that LeBron lost and that the Lakers out, and that makes you kind of sad. That's something I really just never really connected to. I did not follow sports growing up. And for betting, y'all, I don't really think I would have really cared at all who wins and what the total is and who gonna get the championships. I really knew nothing about players. Growing up, I was kind of a nerd. I was always good at numbers. I would be that guy who would, back when y'all had to memorize everything. There weren't no phone books, there weren't no iPhones. You couldn't get every number. Remember for the lifetime. I remember just being real good with numbers. I could recall from my mom. Prices at the supermarket. So once I realized, that there was money to be had in sports betting, and that sort of appeal to people like me, just people with the inkling of numbers. I can recall shit.
I don't think you appeal to anybody. I just got to interject. I'm not sure that's true.
Especially to Greg Peterson. My boy Greg Peterson got me off of Twitter.
I'm not sure about that, but you can continue. Basically, you're doing this because you realized you could profit.
Right. I got into this real soon. Soon as I realized I could profit, and so a lot of the stuff that I would say new bettors, especially now everything getting legalized. I would say a lot of that stuff never really apply to me, right? Like betting on a home team, going after what y'all would call a homer bet. I don't have a homer team, right? I'm from down south near South Carolina. I guess coastal Carolina, the chance would be the closest to what I could have.
I used to live in Myrtle.
Really? You used to live in Myrtle Beach, dirty beach, one of the dirtiest out there, y'all. I don't understand these college kids who come downtown and go to Myrtle Beach. I'm like, y'all, in South Carolina, we got so many other nice ones. How come Myrtle's the one that all y'all gonna go with?
So hold up. Qwan, you were there. Was it because you were playing football for a specific team locally, or why were you there?
No, I was just living there.
So you were living there anyway, though. Okay, so you pretend you're a Detroit fan for the pain, but you're actually not. I'm not sure now. All right, background check. Kevin, are you listening?
You a Detroit fan, man?
I lived everywhere, man. I'm like Carmen San Diego. Every time somebody reaches out to me, they say, "Where you living now?"
About to get a word in with that guy Joey around. He a Detroit fan. So he a Detroit fan because he got to be, right?
Detroit fans, I don't know about Detroit fans. One of my best friends growing up actually is from Detroit too.
See, when I was a real small kid, I think I kind of care about the Knicks. This was when what's his name? Ewing. This is when Ewing was still kind of playing, but he was getting real. Oh, he was like a LeBron, He was like a LeBron type guy, big dude, sort of fading a little bit. But yeah, I got started and I knew I wouldn't, and I knew just the math ain't gonna work out. I ain't gonna bet no NBA, no MLB, no NHL. It just seemed like, and as I learned more, mostly through Reddit, actually, it's kind of funny. Where I'm also banned, by the way, just for full disclosure.
No surprise there. Tell us, what was the first league or first bet you remember really kind of diving into?
First bet I ever made was on Harvard-Yale basketball in February of, I would say, 2016. February of 2016, I was following. I really didn't follow Ivy League basketball that much. I mean, I kind of knew the coaches and I kind of knew the players, and I would show up and I would make a little small talk with the APs and everything.
Sure.
But first game I ever bet was Harvard-Yale basketball, and I bet on Harvard +2 because I thought, wow, they gonna crush it, and they did. And when you hit that first one on nitrogen bets, by the way, if I had kept those Bitcoins instead, we wouldn't be sitting here, y'all.
That's true. He would be ratired on an island somewhere.
Sitting here in my birthday suit talking with
y'all. All right,
y'all.
we're going to cut you off because I know you could just keep talking for hours. And Qwan has one more question. And we also want the calls if you're looking. 661-515-BETS. Questions for Pikachu, questions for me about the games today. We'll play Millionaire, Betting Extraordinaire later. What do you have for him? I know you said you had one more question. Go for it.
He's going to get us. Pika, I am just getting into betting. What is the best strategy for somebody like me?
You're just getting into betting? Well, it depends what y'all want to bet. I would say the best thing for somebody to get into betting is to not get into it. I mean, to be honest, the first thing I would say is don't watch no games, because I think, and that's real hard for everybody else, especially if you come into this being a fan.
You just want action anyway on what you're watching.
The whole reason you want it is because Preston was the first one saying, "Oh, is that stuff you bet on TV? Can y'all sweat it like that?" But I think watching the game as a fan really puts you in some tough spots because you're gonna make up your own stories, you're gonna make up your own narratives, and if you don't have a good working idea about what the data says, about what the analytics gonna tell you to do, watching those games I think is a real big disservice. But like I said, you come from a sports fan perspective, that's one of the main things you want to do, right? You go to the book, you go to a counter, and you sit down and you get your ticket like old days in Vegas, and you're gonna sit there and you're gonna watch the whole game. But honestly, I think watching the games that you don't have action on is the way to go. You can make your own judgments. You can make your own sort of really try to evaluate players. If it's going to be basketball or baseball or whatever. So
let me wrap this up because we did have a call. Your first fanboy call is in on the line. But there was a podcast that won't go up till early next week that I guested on last night, and he asked advice for bettors. And one of the things I did say, going to what Pikachu is alluding to here, is, are you okay?
I'm trying to
find your water. Just a little bit to your left and further away than you think. There you go. You got it. He did it. There you go. Good luck. Don't spill on the equipment. But he asked me, what's one main piece of advice you can give to new bettors? And similar to what he's saying, like, don't watch the games, but I said you really need to take a numbers and analytical approach. If you're not taking a numbers or analytical approach, or if you're able to actually learn how to code to some degree or put in formulas in Excel spreadsheets, it's going to be really tough to avoid what your eyes see, because a lot of times the numbers are going to tell you something a lot differently. We have a caller, and Quan's over here watching waterfalls into Pikachu suits. I'm just joking, man. Let's bring him on. First caller, welcome to Last Word Cheetah.
We got Roman calling again from Jersey.
Nice. Roman, welcome to the show. BetsTV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. I think you won a game yesterday, if I recall. I don't remember which, but you called, and like everyone that called yesterday just crushed it. I think there was only one person that lost their bet. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you? Yeah,
good.
I won the no runs first inning for the Padres and the.
That's what it was, and you had a really good price on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I did. So now I'm going back to the Padres because I mean, aside from like Chargers, all that I watch are just Padres games. So I'm thinking I'm actually kind of going back and forth on the over/under for the first 5 innings in that game. It's at 3.5. It's kind of a toss-up. I'm leaning more towards the under, mostly because we're facing Joey Lucchesi, and we have a really bad streak of ex-Padres just like dominating us.
Has that been proven?
And I feel that
is that a thing?
It's kind of a joke between like Padres fans on like Padres Twitter, but it's kind of like a thing. I mean, like Kemp always, like went off. Egon always went. Like it's always like oh boy, here we go. Padres is going to demolish.
So here's my question: if you can find a Lucchesi no-hitter prop, you're saying that probably has value.
Definitely.
25 to 1, 50 to 1, whatever. Yeah. So let's lock you in for something today. Let's lock you in for a bet. I know you're trying to decide between first 5 versus full game. If you wanted to make it completely a Lucchesi angle against Snell and the Padres, then I think you go first 5, right? You can avoid the bullpen and everything.
Yeah, so I'll do first 5 under 3.5.
First 5 under 3.5. We'll lock it in. We appreciate the call, Roman. We will talk to you later on, maybe next week, maybe later today.
Yeah, for sure.
Take it easy. So we got that. He's got Lucchesi, Snell, first 5 under 3.5. You're a fan of some Ivy League schools. I think you said Harvard, Yale, something was your first bet. And I know we talk because we sweat games and like to vent with each other pretty frequently. But the fact, I felt like it was my kind of like mini-me calling in saying like, well, all the former Padres just always dominated because those are the things that stick out when you're watching and you're following bets. Mm-hmm. So tell us what it usually is in college hoops the last 2 seasons that we can never avoid. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm referring to regarding first half, second halves? What's going on there?
Oh, man. I swear. And it's funny you say that, Preston, because we spent so much time tilting on it. I still haven't really gone in and gotten the real data. But, man, we'd be so rich, y'all. If you just do the first half and avoid all that second half shenanigans. Cover.
It's not even funny, but I swear we hit like 65% if we bet first halves, and then you hit 53% instead.
It's definitely way above 60%, 64, 65, some unreal amount where the line is, full game line is, I don't know, -6.5. First half's going to be -4, -5.5, up by 12, and they can't come even close, covering by double digits. I was talking to somebody else about this, and I actually looked at some numbers. Just the end game fouling situations in basketball, y'all. I don't know what it is. They feed these coaches. There's just no consistency whatsoever. In NBA, right? I think one of the things that's real good about watching NBA, if you can get at it from an objective point of view, is like Howard LeBob used to do. You would know the tendencies of the coaches, right? And so you would be able to really try to see like who gonna run the score up, who gonna foul down what, and sort of like bake that into a little bit to have some better clarity. But man, these college coaches, they ain't know nothing. They'll foul down 15 with 30 to play, and then if they're down like 5 with 40 seconds to play, they don't. In the next game, and
it depends on how they're feeling that day.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of these, film reviews or team meetings. With the Zoom now, I could just jump in on the call. I would love to hear what they think, because I'm telling you, what the computer says, they ain't know nothing. Oh man, I can't. And I think one time I actually told you that I laid it all. I split like half on the first half and half on the second half, and that was the day it started losing.
As soon as you switch, then the first half loses and they come back. They come back second half, and you actually would have won the whole bet instead of going 1-on-1.
Cold run, right? You look at something, and that's another thing that I really struggle with sometimes too, because I'm looking at all these like smaller markets. My medium size, right? It's not so much like tiny. It's not college baseball or nothing, but it's real hard because you're trying to like get a feel for what you're trying to do, and then all of a sudden you realize you're hitting 62%. And then, I'm going to scale up. I'm going to call these movers. I'm going to try to get a little bit more down, and you're going to hit a slide like bam. That stuff is brutal, y'all.
It's story of Pikachu's life. We appreciate those stories. We have another caller on the line. I believe I heard Qwan say it's our friend Stainer ringing in.
It is our friend.
I believe he also won a bet yesterday. I don't remember which one. It might have been the Suns plus the 2.5. This was pre-AD news. He liked it anyway. Then AD plays, but he only plays for 4 to 5 minutes. I'm not making excuses. Stander, what's up, man? How you doing today? You got us, bud? How you doing? Welcome to Last Word Cheetah.
Yeah. I was on Suns money line last night.
Money line? Okay. Tonight, he's taking the extra 0.2 units.
Yeah. Tonight I'm going with the player prop. Reggie Jackson over 2.5 threes made. He's made over 2.5 every game since game one, and I just feel like the Clippers are really going to need to try and score tonight because stopping Luka hasn't done anything for them. He made 6 in the last game too.
He had a couple of heat check attempts too in there when I was watching that game. He just was feeling it. All right, we're going to lock you in for over 2.5 threes from Reggie Jackson. That's from Stainer. Thanks for calling in, man. I'll say this.
Yeah, I love the sweatshirt, man. Garamon's early song of the year.
Holy cow. This guy knows Arm's Length. Maybe it is the guy from Arm's Length. I don't know. We follow each other on Twitter. But yeah, Garamon's, it's a hell of a song. Yeah, shout out. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, man.
Take
Talk
it easy.
To you later.
So, yeah, look it up. Garamond from Arm's Length if you want to check out that song. But he made a point about Reggie Jackson. Yes, the Clippers need to score to win this game because they had to outscore Luka. That's fine. I will say this, and we talked about it yesterday with Joey Isaacs a little bit. Pikachu, you're doing well over there. Just keep drinking your water. But the Clippers in the fourth quarter, they figured something out, Qwan, if you were watching, when they were down, I think 16 or 17 early in that fourth quarter. They go to no big lineup. Zubats was a -20 through 3 quarters on limited minutes. And they also didn't play a point guard, though. They didn't play Reggie Jackson or Rondo for the majority of the fourth. They went to Terrence Mann and basically said, we're going to switch everybody between Terrence Mann, PG, Kawhi, Marcus Morris, and Nicholas Batum. They basically had 5 wings, and they said, good luck. And the Mavs offense, it was in shambles. When the Clippers were switching everything, it was just all step backs. Luka was tired. He had scored 42 to that point anyway. And it worked. I think the Clippers may have solved it. So my concern for Stainer's bet is that, yeah, Reggie Jackson could come out, he could get hot, he could hit a few threes early again, but I don't think he's going to necessarily get as many minutes as they will when they go with that kind of all-switching lineup that they figured out at the end of Game 5. So I would be a little bit concerned. I would not bet over 2.5 with Reggie Jackson as far as three-pointers made, even though he has made it since Game 1. Any thoughts on the Clippers-Mavs series? We could get into Qwan fades now if you want. Just take it from here. I mean, we can.
Did you throw that to me because Reggie Jackson played in Detroit? Like, there are triggers that you shouldn't do. Like, I do not have faith in these guys. Like, 100%. I'm fading Stainer. That's Stainer fade.
Stainer,
I hope you're still watching. I do not have faith in Reggie Jackson.
Hold on. If Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson played a game of one-on-one, what's the line? Are you going to be okay?
No, that was a lot of pain.
You know who's also on the Clippers that used to play for Detroit?
Is it Luke Kennard?
Yeah. They paid him like 60-something million. He doesn't even play.
No burn at all. It's oh my God.
I think you would have to pay me to watch that game live.
A Drummond, Reggie Jackson one-on-one game?
Andre Drummond?
I'd pay-per-view that for sure.
I would love to get paid to watch that game.
Okay, I will pay you to get it set up, and I will watch it because I'm guessing a big guy would just crush because he can get every rebound and just dunk over on him. You know Dave?
I don't know Dave, but I know there's people out there who know Dave real well. We can get Dave Mason to line it on BOL.
That's where we had a comment, Captain Jack Andrews. Shout out. Thanks for listening. Always appreciate the love and the support. He said, for some reason, he figured Pikachu would be Asian, but it sounds like he's out of the South. So, do you know why he would have ever thought you were?
Why he would have thought? Hey, man, I mean, it's a Japanese character, right? It's a Japanese character, but I mean,
maybe that's why.
Got real famous. I mean, we was buying back in the '90s. We was buying Pikachu one of those toys at Burger King. Burger King at College Juniors. I mean, it was a real fun time.
You know that I have was it Charmander? Was that one of the
Charmander.
Pokemon?
That's the one with the fire up.
I have a first edition Charmander that I don't know how or why, but I think it's actually my brother's, but it's in my possession. And the actual card, like one of the originals.
Oh wow!
I'm pretty sure the condition's pretty poor, but so I'm a Charmander fan, kind of anti Pikachu, but I'm rooting him on.
That's okay. I think I can take on Charmander. I think I can take on Charmander in WNBA camping contest.
WNBA,
set that up.
Man,
that sounds fine.
I need to rematch against Kevin. I'm still distraught over how I blew that like 3-game lead in the final 2 days of our WNBA head-to-head a couple years ago.
Like 2 years ago, from like 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, for charity, and I was down big. I took a lead, and then the last day I bombed. I went 1-4, and he ended up winning on a tiebreaker.
And that was the last thing.
We got another card.
It was basically decided last day.
Yeah.
It was pretty much decided. Yeah, I remember that.
Welcome to Last Word Cheetah, man. How you doing today?
You're on, Patrick.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, Preston, how's it going?
Doing well, and I believe you also won yesterday. We were talking Twins Royals. You liked it, and then we came to the conclusion that we should also bet over 9, and that also cashed. So I think we went 2-0.
Yeah, yes, we did. Yeah, so
well done.
I don't know if anybody. I know nobody watched that game except for me, but it was a shit show of epic proportions. I mean, defense was terrible, pitching terrible. Center fielder dropped a fly ball over through the second baseman. Everybody advanced. So I like it.
That's what you were betting on, and you got it, man. That's good. You have a gem for us today?
Well, you know what? I really liked the Phillies under, the first 5 under, but that's not what I'm going with since you already called that play out. I'm going to kind of step out of my lane and go with an NHL pick. Oh. Not typically what I handicap, but I like this angle. I like how the Knights finished that game against the Avalanche. I mean, their shot chart, they had the momentum in the third period. They had momentum in overtime. They hit like 5 posts in the third period. And I like the angle of a team that's down 2-0 to come out strong in the first period of the next game. So I'm taking the Knights in the first period. I got it at plus money earlier today. Not sure how the line has moved, but I will take the Knights.
It's moved a few cents. At Pinnacle, for example, it was plus 103 earlier today. Last I looked, it's plus 100 still right now. So I can give you the plus 100 on that. I think it's good. I want to root for Vegas tonight. I do know something. I don't remember why I know this, but I believe Pikachu, and thanks for calling, Patrick. We appreciate it. We'll lock you in for that bet for the monthly leaderboard, which I don't know if I've actually mentioned yet, but when you call in, if you pick winners, there's going to be a leaderboard. We have a graphic, Qwan, if you want to put it up. Sarab right now is in the lead. He's at 2 wins, and then a bunch of people have 1 win. Through the end of the month, I'm going to give you guys some cash. So far, there's $100 in here. Probably be at least 500 by the end of the month, and we'll give it away. But you told me you were on Vegas series. Was it before game 1? Was it before game 2?
That was one of the best decisions I've made in my betting life. Is taking Vegas series plus 170. I took it in town in Vegas over the counter because I just thought, I've really never, like I said, I've really never made a homer bet in my life. And I was like, win in Vegas, do as the locals do. And then immediately that night they went down 1-7 in game 1. And I think it skyrocketed to like plus 280 or something. And I was like, I ain't gonna be eating no EV tonight for dinner.
We never do. Let's be honest. Okay, let's be honest.
I mean, it's all right.
I want the Knights to win though. Some reason.
Me too. I think they one of the best. As somebody who don't even really care about sports, they one of the best expansion stories out there. Right, first there in the league, made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Who are we kidding? Exactly right.
Qwan, how are we doing over there, man? We got any more callers? Or
no callers.
All right, then are you ready for this?
Let's go, man.
Okay, we're gonna do Qwan fades. Last night it went spectacularly. He won. He was all over Lakers first half, minus the point. Somebody, I don't remember who, might have been Sarab betting these first quarters, although Sarab's first quarters win. I thought, hey, maybe you should bet if you think the Lakers come out hot, you should fire on the Lakers first quarter too. So first quarter, first half, and I believe like the first time I even looked at the game, I was recording something, so I couldn't actually watch it live. It was 27-10 Suns, and I was just like, holy cow, here we are again, game 5. So tell us what you're going to do differently today and how it's going to work.
So first of all, let me take this headset off. I want to apologize to Scott.
Scott, you made him a bunch of money. He was like parlaying stuff with the Lakers.
I started talking trash, man. Come on.
Oh, is that why your account's suspended?
No, my account's suspended because some music,
it happens.
Roddy Rebel computers. Scott, I'm sorry. I know that you've been fading my picks for a while now, and you've made a lot of money off of me. So I'm not too sorry, but I'm going to beat you. This is the guarantee. I'm going to beat you throughout the rest of the playoffs. This weekend, well, actually tonight, I know as soon as I say this, the universe is going to shift. I'm taking Clippers against the spread. It's at -2.5. The last I checked. I'm going with that. So, you know what to fade. This weekend, I'm also going Road Warriors. First off, we got the Bucks on the road, +4. I know that Brooklyn is the team. I thought it was going to be Nets Lakers. So, this might be the series where they go home. I'm sorry, LA. But I'm going Bucks on the road, +4. At least they cover. I'm not saying to win, but I'm saying at least they cover. And then finally, I believe in them. I believe in Trey.
Really?
And this is the emotion part taking over.
You used to live in Atlanta too?
No,
I used to live all over.
Listen, I've been everywhere, man. Atlanta, on the road. Now that I've been seeing no Embiid, I'm going 3-0.
Wait.
what?
You saw no Embiid for sure just now?
I said I've been seeing no Embiid.
From who?
Pikachu wants to know from who.
I mean, the questionable stuff. That's like
Okay, so he's questionably hoping that.
Come on, man. It's not gonna be Joel Embiid. It's gonna be Joel Embiid. It's gonna be a somewhat dialed down version of himself, and I think that messes up the rhythm. If you're not 100%, you can't do what they need you to do. So they're gonna try to. I think they tried to run the offense through him, but how efficient and how much can they maintain?
So I have an interesting kind of. We're gonna get serious here for a few minutes. We'll talk a little basketball. So and people out there, if you feel free to call 661-515-BETS. I'm curious. My main question: how bad were the Celtics and how bad were the Knicks? Because I think it's an important question to ask yourself when you're assessing that series. So Atlanta just absolutely obliterates the Knicks, and so now people I think want to buy into Atlanta and their chances against the Sixers because Embiid's hobbled or he's only playing limited minutes or maybe he misses a few games. And the Knicks were bad. Like Julius Randle, who was their best player all season, just couldn't do anything, and they have no one else. They had no other shooting. They had no other threat. There was no adjustments being made defensively from Thibodeau to slow down Trae Young. It's like I'm not like Matisse Thybulle and Ben Simmons now trying to slow down Trae Young up top 30 feet away. Like I think I kind of like have been shifted towards this might be too cheap on the Sixers side. And then obviously if Embiid goes, then I think it's definitely too cheap. If he doesn't play at all, okay. But I'm kind of the other way. I'm starting to feel like people are discounting Philadelphia because they just saw what happened, which was Atlanta winning in 5 in New York and probably what should have been a sweep. A sweep. They were up double digits in game 2. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on the series, Pikachu. We don't have a lot of time because we have to go.
I think an injured Embiid can walk all over this Hawks team. I mean, it's really the only offensive weapon they really got is Trae Young. He don't even really play that much on defense.
Bogdanovich has been pretty good. I'll give him some love too. Right, Gallinari's there.
He's been really. I mean, I just think the whole. Guys like Joel and Embiid. And this is where we start getting like the weird narratives. Right? I actually think Joel Embiid is built different. I really do believe that.
What does built different even mean? Does anybody know?
Built different means he can be injured and still play real well.
Okay.
That's what that means.
Everyone always says built different. It's like everyone's built different. How can everyone be built different? You're only built different if you're the only one.
You're built different, I can tell you that. But even amongst the NBA, all
right. So
I agree. The Knicks
I'm with Pikachu. I think it's actually maybe a buy low opportunity on Philadelphia and a bonus if Embiid plays. And similarly, the Celtics, who had Tatum and basically nobody else, they play the Nets and the Nets look phenomenal. So are they going to actually be phenomenal? I think everyone expects it because they have Harden, they have KD, they have Kyrie. I think the Bucks can hold and hang with them. We'll see what happens in game 1. But I do agree with Quan's assessment in that game. He likes the Bucks plus the 4. I kind of disagree. I think Atlanta plus 2.5 is paying a super premium on what you just saw with Atlanta. And you're paying like uncertainty with Embiid that if Embiid plays, like you'd be getting a way better number, I think, later. And I'm not sure you'd get a much worse number if you just waited and got that Embiid information first. So I know we have another caller on the line. We can move on to him, but those are the 3 Quan fades. If you missed it, he's also on the Clippers tonight.
We got, but you know what I call irony?
No.
Sarab called in. Guess what he's taking?
Did he hurry and just already fade you?
Sarab, tell him you're back.
All right, welcome to Last Word Cheetah. Tell us what you're doing. He's already like dying over here in the back. What's going on?
I'm going back to the well on that first quarter Clippers match over.
I mean, it never loses. I don't blame him. What's the total that you're looking at right now? 55.5?
55.5.
Okay. Any other reason other than it's 5-0 so far, or is it just you're going with it?
I think it's 4-1 so far, but yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just the trend.
All right, so Rob, in case you were unaware, I don't know if you saw the graphic earlier. You are atop the leaderboard. You're the only caller that's actually won both days. If he wins this one, he'll be sitting 3. So congratulations. Keep it up, and we appreciate you calling in. Pikachu's trying to find a water bottle.
I got it.
Look, this first quarter stuff is weird. You know, he called in, he said the same thing about Denver, Portland. And it's an interesting thing, and we can talk trends for a little bit because I know you love betting trends. But everyone always hears, like, trends are crazy, right? The sharp people say, like, don't worry about them, they're super noisy, which is almost always the case. It is. So then it just hurts inside sometimes when you have people that are firing on, like, for example, first quarters just always go over. Therefore, I'm betting first quarter over, and then they just keep going over. So I can see why people, and they are so obsessed with, like, recency too, right? When people are out there trying to figure out what to bet, they're like, wow,
man,
8-2 run.
It's so painful. It's so painful to watch these guys on Twitter or anywhere else talk about their trends and how they've gone real high. And it's even more painful to laugh at them and in the comments be like, hard, you know, you ain't got a clue to find. You ain't got a clue to find a rock in the dirt, and then they go ahead and go on something like 10-2 run. And meanwhile, we're here like grinding the real way, quote unquote, and we're watching now, like, you know, we're watching our EV go up in flames, and it's like, you know what? We ain't talking about mansion buying sports. This ain't how it works, y'all. But, oh man, I totally agree, Preston. There ain't nothing worse than that. Ain't nothing worse than laughing at them and then watching it actually take off. And it's just variance, man. I mean, they're just flipping a coin.
So I got a question for you. In 4 minutes, we're going to play Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire. For those that are maybe new watching, we do a game each day. We have trivia questions. The first caller that gets through, answers the trivia question correctly, gets to be the contestant for the day. And you have a ladder. If you get 7 days in a row, we're going to give you $25,000 cash. You get $2,500 if you get through day 5, and $250 if you get through day 3. So far, the first 2 days, both contestants lost. They picked incorrectly. So we need someone new. The phone lines are going to open at 1:45 Pacific here in about 3 minutes. You've been betting a lot of Korean baseball. I know that's what you've been doing more often than any other league right now. Give us 2 to 3 minutes about how and why you turned your attention there, and then just kind of so far how it's going and where you're at from like an ROI perspective.
Right. So I guess like everybody else in the United States, right? KBO really came out to everybody's attention when ESPN put it on last year around this time during lockdown, because they were the only league in the world who were actually playing. Now, actually, I've actually looked at the KBO and MBB, that's the one in Japan, a little bit before, but I never really dug into it because I was thinking to myself, I'm not a baseball guy. I don't really know all the statistics. You know, you talk about the XFIP, XFIP, and all that jazz, and I really never really kind of, so I didn't want to, you know, I'm a basketball guy, and like it takes a long time, right, to develop the skills and sort of like the feel for a new sport. So last year I got a little bit involved, and I mean, and the market also just seemed real weird. I mean, you would see two-way action all day, every day, and it wasn't that surprising because, you know, there ain't nothing else to do. I mean, other than the horses and, you know, other bullshit like that.
Like the NBA 2K sims.
Right, and the
stuff.
NBA 2K and all those sims. So it was like real shady. So I got involved a little bit and followed some players and found, like, you know, the news sources to cover injuries and all. Watched some of the games on ESPN when they came on at 2 a.m. Lord knows those are real hard nights. And then this year, everybody stopped because there's real sports now, and there's real, and you know, everybody likes to bet the sports that they follow, like about the high liquidity stuff, NBA and MLB especially. And I was sitting here thinking, like, there ain't nobody who wants to talk KBO with me anymore. I mean, we had a group chat last year where we was talking about it all. And so I just went in alone, and I was like, I'm pretty sure if I do the same thing as I did last year, I can grind out a small profit, right? It ain't going to be very much, and not going to feed a family, but it's something. And it's better than, like, you know, trying to stay on top of NBA injury news and torture my ass off.
Lakers -1, closing -3, yeah.
Right, exactly. Right. So like once I got started, I realized it's a whole new world. I mean, without all the attention that I got last year, I mean, some of these lines are not good. And you know, I'll be the first to say I ain't got no baseball model, y'all. I mean, I don't know. I don't have time to build anything from scratch. So this comes from, honestly, just looking at the stats, and I watch some of the.
You're assessing the market and stuff every day.
Right, like assessing the market every day, looking at the process, getting like a feel for it, and I actually watch some of the games. I mean, I'll go and watch some of the clips. I look up the interviews with the coaches, and I have a translator. I hired an interpreter for me to like go through all the Korean news and everything. It's been real good. It's been real good, and the liquidity is, I would consider it like medium. I actually think I can bet more on KBO at 8 p.m. Eastern time than I can on WNBA 10 minutes before tip, believe it or not.
Really?
There's places where you can get down on that.
Okay.
So it's actually been real good. The ROI, I'm not going to disclose that publicly, but it's double figures. It's double digits, which is something I can't do. There is not a sport on earth. I mean, even WNBA has gotten so good now. I can't do a double-digit ROI in WNBA, and the limits are so low too. It's hardly even worth the time. But KBO has been real good, and it's fun baseball for all y'all baseball fans. The games are available online. You know, they come on at weird times, but sometimes for anyone who works the night shift
you need
or
something
has the
to
1
do.
a.m. thing, they got 1 a.m. games going off. And I'm telling you, if you follow last year or if you never even follow, it is great baseball. The bullpens are bad, and there's a hell of a lot of scoring. You get 5-0.
We've all been there. We've all been there. So we have to open up the phone lines. But I want to just reiterate one point. 661-515-BETS. Call us. We're going to play Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire. But something you did that I thought was really good that can actually be applicable, I think, to other people is everyone was betting KBO last year because there wasn't much to bet on.
Right.
Everything opens back up. All the leagues are back. No attention's put towards KBO, and now the lines are going to be way softer. The market's just not as shaped, and there you go. Now you have an edge, and you've capitalized on it this year. So well done. We're going to take some calls. If the lines are open, Qwan, have you hit them open? All right, we're going to do it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're reset. They're open. We want to make it fair, so like whoever calls, you have to you can't just be waiting on hold for 5 or 10 minutes. So he resets the lines. 661-515 bets your chance to win $25,000. I really want someone to call and talk about this night's game. Still, here's the thing. I grew up in LA when I was talking about this with Joey yesterday too. We grew up when there was no Rams. There was no Raiders. They had already moved away. Then when I moved, I was in Vegas. LA starts getting NFL teams back. So I don't really have an attachment to an NFL team. But when I was in Vegas, and I never had an attachment really to hockey because I didn't watch a bunch of hockey growing up, but they get the expansion team. Then they're really good. I kind of feel like I have this like half-assed attachment to the Knights. So I just at least sort of can feel like I root for them genuinely. So
what
I'm
about the Raiders? You don't think Vegas do the Raiders belong to Vegas?
I think so. I think it's going to be a good market. Now it's just a strange year after what happened last year and everything we got to adjust. But I think absolutely there'll be a market for an NBA team potentially down the road too in Las Vegas. And it's the pathways and avenues there are
certainly
massive.
got the market. I mean, there's a lot of money out there.
Do you think you would ever consider investing in like a KBO team, like running it yourself?
Running it myself, yeah, I think I would consider it. I think the thing with the KBO and a lot of these Asian leagues is they play 1970s, 1980s baseball. They bunt a lot, right?
They're stealing
steal a lot of
bases.
and they don't play the shit. So for all y'all fans out there, if that sounds like something for all y'all people out there who go like, analytics is ruining the game, we don't get stolen bases no more, it's less exciting, right? The totals are 6.5. Well, I'm telling you, KBO, y'all got totals in the 12.5s. I'm not even joking.
That's good info, actually. I mean, there's like the 50, 60, 70-year-old generation that wants old baseball.
Right.
Fire up the KBO streams.
Yeah. They play old school baseball. So in terms of running a team, I would love to run a team there and actually bring everybody into what the United States calls the 21st century baseball and really see how it goes. There's some things they can't. There's not enough talent, right? They don't have the spin race. A lot of stuff that we do here is not exactly applicable. But there are white managers in the KBL. There's 3 white managers.
There's players too. They go over. They can't play in the United States. They're not good anymore, and they go over there. Qwan, I think we have somebody, right? We're on hold.
We do. We have Brian calling in for Betting Extraordinaire.
All right, Brian. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah. Welcome to Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire. Hopefully you know the rules to this point. If not, feel free to ask me. But the first test is a trivia question. And we're going to go, I don't follow tennis too intensely, but we have a question regarding tennis in the French Open, which is going right now. You have 10 seconds once I give you the question, and you probably won't be able to look it up. Maybe you will, but it's going to be tough. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Cool. Which men's tennis player has won the most French Open titles?
Rafael Nadal.
Jeez, okay. He got it. So he actually follows tennis. You knew that? No, there's no way you knew that, Qwan. Like plus 5,000 that you knew that. There's no way. All right, so Brian, you got it right, man. Good job. You actually gave it away earlier. The initial trivia question, I have some backups. It was going to be, what's the current spread for Bucks Nets game 1? I don't know if anyone actually has looked ahead. But he took Bucks +4, so I couldn't do that one.
It's not for it.
So then I went French Open. But Brian took it down. All right, Brian, are you ready to play?
One's quite widely known.
I am.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you saw, I actually tweeted this one out earlier, and I was going to kind of get a vibe of what the public is feeling this time, just because the last 2 days, the contestants have tried. They've gotten them wrong. They've picked incorrectly. This is what it is. It's straightforward. Which totals more? A, Luka points scored. B, Kawhi points scored. C, Paul George points plus assists. Or D, is the total amount of three-pointers made between the Clippers and Mavericks. Or if there's a tie, then that also is option D. If like Luka and Kawhi both score 40, then they would go to option D.
Oh, this is a lot harder than I thought.
Right.
You can have time. You don't have 10 seconds anymore. You can take up to like 2 or 3 minutes. If you have questions, you can ask our friend Pikachu here. You can ask me. You can ask Qwan. Luka, points scored. Kawhi Leonard, points scored. Paul George, points plus assists. Or the total amount of threes made in the Clippers-Mavs game, plus if there's a tie, which is unlikely but possible. We'll give that to option D.
What are you thinking, Pikachu?
Pikachu, I know you can't hear the caller. He wants to know what you're thinking. What would you go with looking at Game 6 here tonight?
The way the question is structured, how it's been a score a ton of my life, the way the points are structured, putting Luka points scored in the A option seems like kind of a trap. Man, I would say that would be in the high 20s, 28, 20, 29.
Yeah.
Kawhi as a direct comparison is definitely going to be lower, is my guess. Paul George points plus assists, I got no clue on earth. And then total three-pointers being made, that's the one I would lean towards. Because unless the Luka line is in the 30s, which I don't think is really, which I guess could be possible.
He's been dropping like 40 a game, so yeah, it's 32 and a half, I believe.
In the 30s, so I would go between my best dilemma would be between points, Luka points scored, and total three-pointers made between the two teams.
Okay, so we've eliminated B and C essentially, and I'm pretty sure it is 32 and a half. Kawhi's more like 30 and a half. And then Paul George points and assists is also in that 29 and a half, 30 and a half range. So yeah, Brian, if you've had a chance to think it over, Pikachu thinks he's going to go with Luka. Then he says,
"No, I would go with three-pointers.
Okay.
I would go with three-point. We're trying to get the highest one, right?
Yeah, most total.
I would say the total three-pointers made between the two teams.
Okay, Pikachu goes D. What are you going to lock in, Brian?
Thank you for the help, Pikachu. But I think I'm going to go A. I think I'm going to go with Luka.
It's 62% of the people on Twitter. There's only like 150 voters, but they went with Luka.
Right.
Brian also is locking in Luka. Hey, Brian, tell Qwan your Twitter handle, and we'll shout you out later. We'll clip this off and post it on Twitter and stuff. But good luck. You get through today, then we'll have you back next time we're live at 1:45 Pacific again for day 2, and hopefully you can work your way up the ladder and win $25,000.
Thank you.
Take it easy. So no one listens to your breakdown.
No one listens to the pick.
You were right. Like everyone wants to pick Luka. He's been scoring 40 every game.
Right, I think that's
62% on Twitter go with Luka.
In terms of the whole trap narrative, I mean that's a real thing. That's a real thing that they do on these multiple choice exams all across the country. There's behavioral psychology behind it.
This is why I would go with A though.
Right.
It is the highest number for one, but there's no game theory here. Like you don't need to be contrarian when you're just playing against yourself, right? He's just trying to pick the one that's most likely.
Yeah,
and so in some sense, like D is like only 7% of the people voted D.
Right.
But
total three-pointers, I mean, if it's 32, then that's 16 each three-pointers in a playoff game with what's the total there?
216 and a half.
216 and a half. Oh, that's a lot lower. Yeah, I don't know.
It's been coming down in that fourth quarter where Dallas couldn't score. I think that's kind of been scaring some people. And me personally, I still think the Clippers are going to take this one. Right. Qwan bet it though, so I think probably have to change gears.
Right? Well, yeah, no, that's a Qwan tail. Qwan, you took Clipper?
Yep, yeah, he laid the 2.5.
Oh, okay, that's a Qwan tail. Oh, that sounds funny now.
Right on. Thanks, Brian. Good luck as usual. We got a couple minutes left. We talked some KBO. We talked a little college hoop, first half, second half conundrums that we've run into the last two seasons. We talked about everything else. You have one more caller? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, okay. We're good. All right. We got the last word. A couple minutes left. Anything that you want to leave us with? I'm not sure. I know you had a backup option. I'm not sure if you want the camera angle to switch for a second and show people, or if you want to just kick it here and stay cool. All right. We had a backup Pikachu suit / mask, and he's gonna just stay in this one. He's been telling me how hot it is. Maybe.
Well, I'm always hot. I don't know if y'all seen my Twitter profile yet, but that booty that booty shaking.
I haven't seen it.
I'm always hot, Preston.
I'm pretty sure I blocked you a few months ago, actually. So I'm almost certain.
I don't know about that.
I blocked you on Twitter, but I'm happy you come into the studio the first week we start doing shows.
I don't know what happened about. I don't know. I don't remember getting blocked. I got no idea what you're talking about.
So
Why'd you block him?
why did I block him? Oh, he was just like I was doing the Punks Comic stuff. Shout out Punks Comic, punkscomic.com. I've been doing a ton of NFT work, and every time I posted anything about it, he would just be like scam in the replies. So I was like, man, everyone's gonna think it really is a scam. I gotta block this guy.
It's a scam, y'all. It's a scam. I mean, you see did you hear about the 69 million
The Beeple sale, yeah.
Christie's that's sold? Man, I can't imagine.
That's why it's not a scam. Someone did pay $69 million for the people.
I know. That's why it is a scam. It's because it's such a high number. So it's going to be.
I was just pretty certain, Larry, if you're listening, that it was you that bet on that just for the joke, and then it actually went through.
Really? Larry bet on it? Oh,
yeah,
Larry going to bet on it.
Yeah, that's why he's trying to grind college football guides now. Last thing, you want to leave us with any advice for bettors? We appreciate you coming in.
Right.
We got 2 or 3 minutes. Is there like a piece of advice? Because this guy asked me this on this podcast last night, and I thought it was actually really good because I hadn't thought about it for a while. He just said if there was one advice you could give to people that are trying to kind of acquaint themselves with the sharper side of betting, right? They're trying to become better. Maybe they've already been like dabbling for a year or two, but what's something that they can do to kind of take what they're trying to the next level outside of following your Twitter account?
I think the real thing is there's something that I've always believed as a general life philosophy. This applies outside of betting too. Is really know thyself, right? There's a lot to be said about know thyself. Because a lot of what if you read Twitter and you just see a lot of people talking about modeling, and if you're not the kind of guy who knows how to do that already, I wouldn't spend any time on it, right? If you need to learn coding and you need to learn spreadsheets from day one, I don't think there's any chance in hell that you're going to get to a place where you can actually model and get anything done. In which case, I would say, did I turn all the way around without knowing? That's great. That's great. But I would really say, if you're not that kind of guy, and you see all these posts sometimes, how can I get started modeling? Well, where you starting from? I'm starting from nothing. I work a regular white-collar office job. You do not need an actual analytical Monte Carlo simulations, fancy-sounding model, fancy-pants model to really get anything done. If you're the subjective kind of guy and you watch games and you think you can actually do it, I would say take notes when you watch games, check yourself, check what you're write down your thoughts about players and see if they pan out, and if they don't, then y'all gotta switch. I think the worst thing about watching this game is not writing anything down. Then you get into your own head saying, "Oh, well, I know this better than everybody. I'm a Nets fan. I know Durant and Harden, everybody better than anybody else." If you're a modeling guy, you already know how to do it and go and perfect that. If you're just the kind of guy who wants to grind games and sweat them and watch them, there's a lot you can do out there with the data. You need simple data, but I don't have anything close to a KBO model, and I'm still doing quite well. It's a lot different for the big four now, but there's a lot of things you can do. Know thyself. If it's not in your skill set to be a quant, don't try to be a quant. You're going to waste all your time, and it's not going to turn out well, and you're not going to enjoy sports no more, right? That's what most people are in sports, to enjoy the sports. You know what I love about that response and that answer? Outside of the fact that you were facing the wrong way and you didn't know. He can't see through the face, through the mask. He said the exact opposite thing that I said on the podcast last night when it drops next week. Like literally, he hasn't heard it. It's not out till like Tuesday. Matt, if you're listening, he's going to drop it. And I was like, everyone needs to try to learn how to code. And I think if you're not analytically based, then it's just tough to beat sports. But watching KBOs may be different. We're talking like NBA, NFL, college football. But that stuff is real you can't just watch the NFL game and then like beat NFL markets. That's true. But I agree. But I think basketball, there could be some spots if you keep a real low volume. If you keep a real low volume, I believe you can get shots at NBA and turn out a small profit. Qwan, go ahead. Yeah. It's not going to be a 200-game sample. Wait a minute. So you guys are telling me this isn't the real Pikachu? This one? You said he couldn't see out of it. He had to see out of his mouth. No. Oh, you thought it was the real one this entire time. I want to be the very best person. Why were you? Be the very best? No one ever was. Well, maybe one day we can actually get the real Pikachu in here. But I'm sorry, I'm only doing the fake ones so far. We got to work our way up. Yeah. I'm disappointed. You want to get the real one? You want to get the real one? You got to turn to look at me, Pikachu.
Follow my voice.
There you go.
There you go.
There we go.
I got one bet I'm going to leave everybody with to wrap this up because this is last word Cheetah, and I'm going to give you guys the last word. And I anticipate the price getting worse by the time we would do another show. And we are, as BetsTV, going to Dallas for the Fantasy Sports Gaming Association convention. So we're going to be gone weekend through next week. And so we'll be back. At some point, we'll be shooting some like evergreen video stuff, interviews, content there in Dallas, and we'll get them uploaded, and people can follow along with some videos. But I think the Suns, just an interesting series, price against Denver. It's still a Denver team without Jamal Murray. Monty Morris is having the time of his life. He's like Chauncey Billups the last few games. You can still get the Suns at minus 200, minus 205. I've seen minus 208. I think that's a really good bet. I think it's strong. And it's not me overreacting to them beating the Lakers. I think the Suns are just a much more well-rounded team. Jokic could do it all against a defense in Portland that just wasn't. And Phoenix's defense is a different story. So I like the Suns if you can get it at that price. Just looking from a market context perspective, like the Blazers were laying 5.5 last night at close. And I know people are playing zigzag-ish and whatever, but the market moved up. The Suns are only minus 4 in game one. I just think that's too low. And I think, on a different scale, the series then is also too low. My personal projection is like 70.7% that they win, one more like minus 245. So anything in that minus 200 to 210 range, I think is a pretty strong bet. That's what I'm going to leave you with. That is the last word. Any last word from Qwan before we shut down?
Do you think Chris Paul holds up all series?
We have to hope so. Obviously, if he's not, then it's going to be tougher. Yeah. But we have some inside information that Vegas Spoon shot out. You're not listening, but he never loses. And sure enough, he was on Sun Series. Pikachu did tell me. Therefore, Anthony Davis got hurt. Spoon wins. So Spoon just throw some on Sun Series here as well, and everything will be well. But CP3, he ended up being fine. He's not 100%, but he was able to be out there and make a difference that was positive. And in the end, I think, there's some other issues with Denver that Phoenix can exploit regardless. And they did get past LeBron James despite CP3 not being 100% too. So Phoenix minus 200 series. That is my bet of the weekend to leave with you all. Thank you, Pikachu, again for being here in studio. Qwan, good work today, bud. And we'll see you guys next time.